G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, we've got a quad for you collectors out there. It's not made for you bando bashers, it's not made for you ultralight racers. What we have here is something that is really aimed at people who like their quads a little bit different. They might already have a fleet of drones, they want to get something cool, a collector's item, and what we're talking about is definitely going to divide the community. Some people are going to absolutely love the look of it. It looks like an old school hot rod. Some people are going to call it ugly as sin, and I'd love to know, what do you think? We have the Rat Quad, and I myself must say I'm a huge fan of the look because I want something different. I collect a lot of drones, some really interesting ones that I like, that I have kind of like in my little private collection, you know, and Flynoceros is making some really cool stuff. They've made some cool hexes in the past. They always tend to do far out designs, and that's what we've got here, which its biggest draw besides its looks is it gives you a different flight perspective. You are sitting back here in the camera way at the back of the quad, looking out kind of over the battery. It's like looking out over the bonnet of your car. You can see the props in the distance, like your wheels, I guess, driving around, and it feels like you're sitting in an old school, just rat racer, just a really, really cool design. So I kind of like flying this thing around. What we're going to do, we're going to break it down. We're very quickly going to go through the components because this is only shipping as the frame. Mine's been built up as a 4S version. Then we're going to go out to the field, talk about the design and stuff and how the frame all goes together. Then we're going to go out to the field, fly it around, see what the other boys think, and most importantly too, show you what the actual perspective is like. I've recorded from inside, sitting back in here, and it kind of really is something else. I'm talking about the pros and cons of this type of design. So let's do it. Jump right in, and as a bit of an overview before we go out to the field, I'm going to stick it on the scales. I do need to take my battery off because this thing here comes in, I think it's around 400 and bang on, there we go, bang on 500 grams. So that is pretty much the max of these scales, and it's going to be fairly heavy because you've got a lot of TPU in here. You've got some really thick arms, some chunky motors, all that sort of stuff. It's not really going after your space-saving ultralight compact build. This thing, first and foremost, is design and form over function. And then we should say it can take a huge battery absolutely at the front. I've got the 4S versions, but yeah, as an overview, it is just a really cool, I think anyway, a looking quad that comes together to offer you a unique perspective. I'm going to link it down below. There's going to be a couple of different perspectives. I'm going to say it's not going to be for everybody because it is relatively pricey, and that's one part we'll talk about when we get to the pros and the cons. So very quickly, let's go through the components because I've just got some, this is going to be different depending on however you build up, but it's important to know when I was flying around, what did I actually have on mine. We've got just some 4S motors. I think they're 2450 kV, 2207s. We've got some 5-inch props right here. Moving towards the middle, and this is one of the parts I'll love to show you when we talk about the design of the thing. We've got a 4-in-1 ESC. It's just got an F7 flight controller, a little lollipop antenna on the back, and a big one. We put in a run cam split for you guys so I could show you some of the footage of this thing flying around so you can get some good HD footage, cruising, looking out over the bonnet of your quad as you're sort of buzzing around. And then this is the big one now. Let's move on, talk about the design of things. So first and foremost, it can carry an absolutely huge battery. Whether you want to put a 1500 in here, stick a 1300 in here, you wrap it down, and I will say, make sure it's nice and tidy. You don't want your wires coming across over the top. I've been running them actually underneath because that way you don't have to look at your battery wires. You want to have a nice smooth little bonnet, and I'm also considering just gluing something on the front here. We've got a big plate where, you know, maybe a little emblem or something like that would also be really cool. It does obstruct your vision, and it doesn't mean it makes it any easier to hit gaps or anything like that. It just feels cool when you're flying around. You've got a huge front plate at the front. It's got 4 individual arms. They're 5mm thick, but it is different. The front arms, they're sprawling out. As you can get this in the roof cam, you can see they're sprawling out. And the back arms, they're much more traditional. This is what quads used to be like back in the day when we talk about H patterns and all that sort of stuff. You don't really see them because they sort of fell out of favor for your normal X shapes and stretch decks, but all our quads used to be like this, a H pattern. I don't think it's the most efficient or anything like that. We've definitely moved away from it, but when it comes to the form, I should say, it does look very, very cool on this one. It kind of feels like two huge drags the tires or something that's rocking behind you. Of course, you can see we've got a whole bunch of TPU, and flipping it over, all these TPU parts are sandwiched in right here between 2 side plates which can come off, and also you've got your TPU bumpers which are little extras. They'll all be linked down below when you want to go check it out. So something I want to point out is you've actually got the arms all held in by two sandwich plates, I would say. So you've got your base plate, and then you've got your sandwich plate between those two. Those two lock together, and that's how your arms are going to stay in place. Now, don't expect any quick fixes or anything like that when you're braking. If you do happen to break an arm, I wouldn't be taking this racing because A, it's heavy, And B, it's kind of really going old school. It's going to take a while to replace those arms, especially when you've got like some of these little lock nuts on the bottom and stuff like that. This is just an old school way of doing things, but this quad is, I guess, all about old school. I really feel like they are car enthusiasts over, old school car enthusiasts over at the Flynoceros shop. But then let me talk about my favorite part. Oh no, we've had a problem. What can we do? Well, let's pop the hood, check out the car, and you can see, bang, just like that, the front opens up to give you some access to your flight controller. Of course, you can see our little XM Plus there, our F7 flight controller, all our ESCs, blah, 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 blah. That part I think is really cool. How you can just undo two little screws that are on the side here. You've got one screw just here and then one screw on the other side. Loosen those bad boys up, boom, you're ready to rock and roll. You are off to the shop, I would say, the chop shop, to put this quad back in order if anything did go wrong. So I really feel like, I don't know, if you had this at a quad meetup or something and it was just sitting there, people would love to come and have a look, and you might have some normal, you might have a whole bunch of quads out there, but I guarantee people are going to gravitate towards something like this because they've never seen something like this before. Moving on, let's talk about the quality, and the quality of the carbon is absolutely outstanding. You don't get any of the components with it, so I don't need to talk about the components that are in here and that sort of stuff. The TPU, they're obviously getting someone to, I would think they're getting someone to print it, or if they're doing this in-house, it's absolutely stellar. Very, very clean prints. They've been doing it for a long time, the Flynoceros guys. I know with their Cerberus and stuff, very, very robust, thick frames, usually on the heavier side as well. But yeah, the quality, you absolutely can't complain, but it'd want to be because it's a fairly expensive unit. And then that brings us on to the pros and the cons before we go out, fly this thing around, see what the other boys think, and most importantly, show you some perspectives from sitting back here in the camera. Pros, I actually do love the way it looks. It offers a unique flight experience. It's a bit of a collector's item, and it's not something that you see every day. It's relatively robust. It is a chunky, big, heavy quad that can hold a huge battery. But then let's talk about the cons. Number one, the price. I think it's about 120 to 130 bucks, depending on what options and TPUs and all that sort of stuff you want to get. So it is absolutely not the cheapest. It's not going to be coming out of China. I think they're made in America, so you can understand the price is going to be a little bit higher, but you can get some other cheaper frames out there that are much more suited to freestyle, all that sort of stuff. What this one is all about, it's about offering you that unique perspective when you're flying around. The other part too, it's going to be heavier, so don't expect some absolutely crazy speeds. And the third part, you do lose some obstructed vision. Most people are used to not having anything in their view, and that's when they're flying around, they can do what they want to do. This one, the experience is all about obstructing that with like the bonnet of your quad, with the battery in the way, maybe even a little hood emblem on the front. So it is absolutely not going to be for everybody. And the fourth thing, and this is, I don't know if this is a pro or a con, it is absolutely not for everybody when it comes to looks. Some people, I've held this up and they've gone, what is that? They can't believe it, and kind of have to do a double take. Some people I know have been hassling me. Shout out to one of my mates, Jay. He just was like, Stuart, this is the coolest quad I have ever seen. He will not shut up about it. And yeah, so it's definitely going to divide the community on what people think it looks like. They might love it, but they also might hate it. But that's it on the bench. Let's go out to the field, rip the rat quad around, and find out just how it looks and show you that unique perspective, and also see what the other boys think. So let's do it. Have some fun with the Flynoceros crew and the rat quad in 3, 2, 1. Rightio, so we're away, and first things first, look at this crazy perspective. Oh, and I should say too, if you're after crazy racing or some freaky freestyle, this is not going to be your video. This is all about this perspective, so you can see it almost looks like, I don't know if it looks like CGI, I almost got lucky too there, almost went into a terrible cactus thorn bush. But yeah, flying this thing around with this battery hanging out the front, it is super cool looking as far as I'm concerned. It is going to obstruct your vision, and it is going to make hitting gaps a little bit trickier, but it doesn't take up as much of the screen as you thought it would. So definitely when you're flying around, I think it looks super cool to have these sort of motors spinning in your props, your big lookout over your battery, the bonnet of your quad. Yeah, just looking out over the hood. It's
I can't think of any other word to describe this as cool, unique. It's just an interesting way to fly around. Now, you will notice trying to get some cool cruisy footage using this thing, it's hard to go fast, and the reason is because you want to be able to see where you're going. I like to be able to see the horizon, but when you tilt down with this bad boy, you are pretty much staring, because it's looking flat out over the quad, you seem to be staring at the ground quite a lot more. So it would definitely benefit for some motor mounts or something like that. So I felt like I really couldn't push this thing because, or push it to its speed wise, because I was just staring at the ground. You can't really see where you're going. So that'd be one of the first things that I fix. But if all you're after is a unique, different flight experience, something like this is definitely a lot of fun to buzz around. You get a really unique perspective, and I don't think that many people have tried something like this before. And it feels weird too when you go up and you do some rolls and it sort of all stays the same. It's very hard to describe what this is actually like when you're flying it around on the sticks. It's not for racing, not for freestyles. But look at this, like it's kind of like Star Wars too, when they're cruising down to blow the Death Star up. That's what it's like, flying down those little channels and all that sort of stuff. So I don't know, it's not going to be for everybody, but it is definitely going to be for some people out there. Flight characteristics, nothing special, and the speed, nothing special, but it's all about the experience. It's all about being in here, being in the quad, having that moment with the quad, connecting with it, and actually enjoying flying around. So anyway, what we should do, I'd love to know too, what you guys think about this setup with this unique perspective, looking out over the battery. What we should do, let's hand it over to Long Range Tony, see what he thinks, and yeah, just find out, is this rat quad going to be for you, or is this perspective just completely putting you off?
Rightio, Tony. So here you've seen the rat quad from Flynoceros flying around. Thoughts, impressions? What do you reckon?
Look, it's really different, and I've often thought, what would it be like if you've got your camera way back?
Yep.
And this, I guess, this is a realization of that. It's not the most aerodynamic thing in the world.
No, I don't think we're going after aerodynamic.
So
I don't even think we're going after function.
It's form over function.
Yeah.
Absolutely. From what I saw before, the video camera looked like it could do a little tilt, so I just tilt it up a bit.
But then the problem is you don't start seeing your
yeah, we'll still
the front of it. Yeah. But
yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, it's different, you know, and different isn't always bad. So let's give it a go and see what I think.
I really think they've put a lot of work into making it look like this. Like you could have just had a little pod sitting here with all that, but it's really made aesthetically to look at it as well. Like
like a rat rod.
It does. It looks like a hot rod, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's cool.
Right, ready to do it?
Yeah, let's give this a go. All right, plug her in. All right, here we go. Let's take the rat rod for a fly.
The rat quad.
Rat quad.
God, it looks cool in the air though. It looks badass just flying around.
Let's just do a little bit of cruising.
Yep.
So this is out the box. Oh, there's people down the bottom.
Not out the box. It's like a specialty one. This is just the frame mainly.
Right.
Too.
It's a different way of looking at flying, like from this back position.
Would you take this racing?
No, never. You never take it racing. This is really one, I think, for a bit of cinematic cruising. You know, if you want to get some nice flowy shots, maybe get maybe get a little bit of a flowy video around the bando. Like this would be pretty cool, something different. You know, we see so much of exactly the same type of quad day in, day out. I actually quite like seeing something that looks a bit different, where they thought of, let's just try and mix it up a bit. It appeals to a certain type of audience, so I reckon.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's not really made for bando bashing. It's not made for racing. It's kind of just made for like a crazy idea come to life.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. Oh yeah, look, it's once you've sort of tuned into the once you've tuned into the camera position, it's actually not that bad, I reckon. I can just see a little bit of the canopy, the front motors, top of the battery. I don't mind it. It's very cruisy.
Do you find it hard to go fast though, because you can't pitch forward that much? That was one part I was struggling with.
Yeah, you get the top of the canopy in when you're going a little bit too quick. So yeah, that does make it a lot harder. Like I think the optimum placement for a camera is certainly on the front, like we have every other drone setup. But yeah, I think just this is more cinematic. It gives you a different experience. And it'd be interesting to see what the video looks like playing back. So I'm assuming we've got a HD DVR in here.
I almost want to put a little steering wheel on top of the battery. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It looks mental in the air.
Yeah, it looks.
Got some poke?
Yeah, it has. It has got some nice poke. Let's do another little flippy floppy backflip. Here we go, up over the tree. Interesting punch outs when you come back. It's really, it just throws your sort of your perception off of what you're used to because of the camera position. Yeah, it's different. And I wouldn't say different is bad.
Yep.
I wouldn't say it's way better and I'd rush out and buy a frame like this, but for a change, you know, they say change is as good as the rest.
All right, so who would you recommend this one for?
Someone that just wants to do a little bit of cruisy, get some different sort of FPV footage. I think that would...
Maybe. Oh Jesus, Tony! You just smashed into the dirt there.
Yeah, I was going to go under the tree, but that never happened, did it? I'm blaming the wind again.
You could.
I don't know. I think if you're looking for something different, and you've got a huge range of quads, like I don't know, let's say you were running UAVfutures or something, and you just want something different, something to add to your fleet, get some different cinematic experience, get some different footage. You know, this would be something you would enjoy, I reckon. But would you go out and buy it if you only had 1 or 2 quads? I don't know. I think it's got a very limited audience, but certainly an enjoyable quad. It's got a nice little tune on it, and yeah, I don't mind flying it around at all. It's quite pleasant. All right, too easy.
I'll let you bring it in. How's your battery?
14.
You know what would be cool actually is if you put your battery voltage little checker on the top of the battery. Yeah. So when you were flying around, it was like you were looking at your fuel gauge.
So I've done that, and the only problem is with these cameras is you get that flicker.
Yeah. Some sort of system like that would be cool though. Yeah, that's on the arm stick.
Look at that, perfect. Lovely. Sorry about that little clip before.
That's alright.
It looks get under the tree.
Yeah, you smashed into the dirt, mate.
Yeah, well, I didn't see it.
For your arm and harm.
Arm and harm myself.
Telemetry lost.
Sturdy.
It is.
Like, that's seriously sturdy. It's got a big cantilevered plate on the front, which is made from about 100mm thick carbon reinforced steel. You know, it's they're made for.
It's definitely for show, isn't it?
I reckon you could crash this into a wall and go straight through it.
It's pretty heavy though.
It is heavy. It's heavy. Hence, 6S is probably perfect for it.
Yep.
Yeah. No, look, it's different. I like what they've tried to do. It looks like a hot rod. Yeah, it's very different.
All right, nice. Thanks, Tony. Rightio, so there it is. There's my review of the Flynoceros Rat Quad, and overall, do I like it? Yes. Do I think it's super cool? Absolutely. Is it something that I want to keep as a bit of a collector? Yes, and more yes. But is it going to be for everybody? No. It's not perfect. You're going to be obstructing the view. You really can't push this thing. It is really made for a cruiser with a big battery. It is not made for flat out speeds. It's not really made for bandos either, or racing, nothing like that. It is purely made for offering a unique perspective. So if this is your first quad and you're going to be picking one up, I'm going to say this one is not for you. It's more aimed at you collectors out there who want something a little bit different. You like the look of it. You might want to take some other people for a ride along and offer them a unique perspective. That's where this thing shines, where no other real quad is going to do that. And also, it's fairly pricey as well, so I can absolutely see why some people might be like, look, I love it, but they simply can't afford it. And anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Some things I'd say to the Flyno shop guys as well is this quad really feels like it would be suited to these little TPU mounts you've got on the edge, if we could have some angled motor mounts. Because for me, I found I wanted to go really quick, but because I had to tilt my quad down, you don't have that big peripheral vision, or what do you call it? Not out the sides, but the verticality of your vision. You can't see everything, and I really had to tilt down. It felt like I was looking at the ground, and I couldn't just tilt my camera because I'm staring into the roof of the canopy. So if I was going to redesign this, or maybe see if we can get it on their site or something, I'll send the guys an email. A little tilted motor mount at the front to sort of tilt that would stop me having to tilt my camera, and I could get some more speed with this thing, push it, because I want to fly this thing a lot more, and just overall have some fun, because it's not every day you get a quad like this. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Drop your comments down below. Do you love it? What do you think about the look of the Flynoceros Rat Quad? Do you think it's ugly, or do you think it's just something that's super cool, trending back to the days of old school car racing and fixing up cars, doing them up, all that sort of stuff? Other than that, subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.